So we're going to install some Profile Elite AL cranks for the big Sean Collins. Starting off, you want to install the spider. Make sure this bad boy here, the crank symbol, is lined up with the crank. Comes in the box, some little bolts, some Torx 20 bolts that you need to screw in. I've already got Loctite on them, so they shouldn't come out once they're done up, but it doesn't hurt to check every time you service your bike. This can be a little bit fiddly. Let's get them all in. So there's 8 of these. Once we've got them all in, we'll just do them up, torque them up. Sean's going with the black 175 mil length cranks. Look pretty sick. I've got some of these on my bike as well. So they all sit like that. Now you just want to do them all up. So they've got Loctite on them, so they will be tight. And the bolts aren't that deep, so you've got to be very careful not to strip them. Otherwise, you'll be giving Gary a call at ECI for some new ones. This is probably the longest process of the crank install. The rest is pretty simple. Don't try using normal Allen key. You'll definitely ruin the bolts. Again, it does take a while to screw them all in because they've all got Loctite on them, but at least they won't come out. And there's 8 of them. So you can run a direct drive sprocket on these cranks as well, or you can buy the spider like what we have here, and you can run a normal chainring. It's pretty handy. Save a bit of weight if you go direct drive. Yeah, you can get different chain rings to suit different chain lines and stuff. Depending on the frame, most of the time with frames nowadays, you can move the chain line a fair bit. So some can be quite tight, so just be very careful because there's Loctite on them. Got to make sure this little Torx bit doesn't slip out. So preferably you'd use a torque wrench to actually tighten these. I don't have one with this exact Torx 20 bit, so you don't need to do them up much because they're only a small Torx bit, and there's 8 of them with Loctite. When you service your bike, you should check them anyway. You do get in the box a little instruction manual on how to fit. Very simple. So that's done, sorted, that's on. Looks like that. Pretty neat. All machined out, the crank. It's very cool. We'll get the other crank arm out. Same deal. Looks very nice. This is how you adjust your preload. Little lock ring here. And you just do it up there, which we'll show you. So, we'll install the bottom bracket. So Shawnee runs outboard. We also do press fit as well. So we'll throw that in now. The spindle here, so it's a 3-piece setup. So there's your spindle, like so. These go into here. Each crank arm bolts on separately, and you can leave the spindle in, take both crank arms out. So super easy. It's also tapered down. So in the middle there, it's actually 24. These are 30. So if you've got clearance issues in your bottom bracket, it's gonna be fine. If you've got a cable that runs through, like my bike does, they're gonna fit. So as I say, box cranks or other different branded 30mm cranks, you can have issues with cable running through the bottom bracket. Not these, they're awesome. So the outboard bottom bracket is a BSA 30, so you do need a different bottom bracket tool. You can't use like a regular Shimano bottom bracket tool. It is a little bit different. So if it doesn't fit, don't use it. This one fits, so we can use it. Grease is your friend. You can be happy with grease. Put heaps of grease on the threads so you can actually take the bottom bracket out in the future. Like so. Some of the old profile bottom brackets used to run a sleeve inside. These don't, so they can just screw directly on. It's got left, the other one will have right, and it's got a direction on it, so you can't really get it wrong. Should also put grease in the bottom bracket in the frame. We've already got grease in there that we did earlier, so we don't need to. So we'll just screw this in finger tight, and then we'll do the other one, and then we'll do them up. Make sure there's no dirt or anything around that area. We want it to be a clean surface. Just screw your cup in. If it doesn't go in straight away, don't force it. Again, there's a direction on the bottom bracket, so you can't get it wrong. Make sure that tool is firmly on. You don't want it slipping off and scratching your bottom bracket. And just do it up. Oh yeah, maybe hold that one. Might make me life a little bit easier. Beautiful. Done. Bottom bracket comes with 2 seals. Make sure you put the seals on. They are needed. I'll just grab the spindle as well. So again, grease is your friend. Let's make sure we use grease on the spindle and also inside the bottom bracket. So rub a little bit of grease around here. If you like, you can also put it on the seal. Helps it sit on there as well and keeps all the bits and pieces out. Beautiful, just leave that one there for now. Put your grease in there. Technically, there is no direction on these, but for a bit of peace of mind, I always like to have the logo facing out, just like the hubs and stuff like that. You want to be facing yourself when you put them in. So that just slides in there. That's why we have grease on there. Give it a bit of a love tap. And she spins around nice. So we want to put grease around these as well. Don't forget to put these on too. So while it's here, we'll put that on. So that's one of the seals. Put the seal on there. The other seal, put it on the other side. Grab my grease. You just want to put it on all these little bits and pieces here. Also, throw some in there. For when it does up, we'll be able to get the cranks off in the future. Just gonna do the other side as well. Put some in the middle. Perfect. Crank arms, like so. With the preload adjuster, you want to make sure the preload adjuster is wound all the way in. So if we can see, that is winding out. We want it to be all the way in when we do up the crank. And then from there, then we can bring the preload so we don't have side-to-side play. If you were to do the cranks up with the preload adjuster out, it can actually damage the cranks. So just remember to have them in. It's all in the instructions that you'll get with the cranks as well. It will change bike to bike, but you have spindle spacers as well. So recommend at least probably putting, you've got the real small 0.5 mil ones, or you've got 1 mil or 2 mil ones there as well. So we'll try these, we'll see if we've got play. We'll go from there, but I'll put these in first. So this just goes in front of the seal, in between the seal and the crank. I'll put one on both sides. So it doesn't really matter which one you put on first. I'll just put on drive side first. I've already put grease in here. It can be a little bit hard to get grease on the bolt. So I've already got it there, so that will be fine. Grease is already on there. It doesn't matter where I put the first crank arm. We obviously want to put the second crank arm in the opposite direction. So just a 8mm Allen key bolt inside there. Let it sit on the spline. And just do it up. It should grab. There we go. So just wind that all the way until it butts up against itself, and then we'll come back to it. So we won't swing off that one just yet, but that's butted up all the way as far as it can go. So we'll put the non-drive crank side on now, making sure the preload adjuster is all the way in. Same deal. We just want to butt it up against itself. We'll just do that. Make sure you get the thread. If you're not sure, take it to someone who actually knows, because you don't want to strip something on your brand new cranks. We'll just do this up till it butts up against itself, like so. Now we can tighten them up. So I think recommended on these is 50 Newton meters, but grab your little installation sheet, read the instructions. So 50 to 55 Newton meters. I don't have a torque wrench, I've got an Allen key, I've got muscles, so we'll just do it up as firm as we can. And then in the future, we'll hit it with a torque wrench to make sure it's right. Allen key back in there. Want to make sure you have a bit of leverage. Give it a nice tighten. Like so. Do the other side as well. Done. So keep in mind you do want to use a torque wrench on these just to be 100% sure. We don't have one now, but we will definitely use one after this video. Final part to finish off the crank install is to do up your little preload adjuster on this side. So final thing is your preload adjuster, which is this little thing here that we wanted to have wound all the way out. Now we want to wind it in so we don't have side to side play. So currently we will have a little bit of movement side to side, like so. We want to fix that so it's not there now. So push the crank across and just wind this with your hand. If for some reason the gap is too much, we need to use some more of those shims, which we may need to do on this one as well. But for now, we'll just trial it. So turn your little preload adjuster around. They can be a little bit tight to get going. Just make sure it's all the way loose. So it's just a 2.5mm Allen key to undo that one. Of course, I've done it up tight. There we go. And just keep moving it around until we make contact with the crank. So like any other crank with a preload adjuster, doesn't need to be tight. It just needs to be about 1 to 2 Newton meters. So you touch the end of it, just give it a little bit more, make sure there's no play side to side, and make sure the cranks still spin nice and freely. If there is a little bit of play, stool it up a little bit until you get rid of that play. So once we're happy, so if we check side to side movement, that feels okay. We can't physically push across the crank. That's all good. We want to nip this little 2.5mm Allen key bolt up. Like so. Again, it's a small Allen key bolt, so you don't want to swing off it. It's just a pinch bolt. Just enough so it's tight. Done. Again, just make sure there's no play. There isn't, make sure it spins good. It does. So that's that. From there, it's really chuck your chainring on. Pedals is another thing. These cranks come with pedal washers. You must use pedal washers on these. If you don't, you can damage the crank. So you do, in the box, we'll have pedal washers. Make sure you use them. They are a smaller pedal washer than some other cranks use. So make sure you use the proper profile pedal washers that come with your cranks. It's a little pedal washer, just there. It's handy if you just throw it directly on your pedal first, and you just do it up. Already pre-greased the pedal spindle. Make sure you do that. And just do your pedals up. Last pedal. Actually, before we do that pedal, Shawnee runs massive pedals, so we better put the chainring on first. Otherwise, we're not going to get that chainring on. Got your profile chainring. You can use any chainring. Profile's obviously the best. Get yourself a profile one. Come in all different colors. If you want to be secretive, you can flip it so no one can see what number you're running for your gearing. But with Shawnee, he likes to show everyone, so we're going to run it outwards. It's the same deal as putting on any other chainring. Put our back plates in. Just going to nip this up so a chainring don't fall off. Just leave it loose. Make sure you grease your chainring bolts, otherwise you won't get them out. Throw these in. Don't do them all up straight away. Beautiful, one more to go. The back plate in there. Beautiful. We'll just go around and do these up. So you need to sometimes hold the back plate so they don't spin around. If they do spin around, there is a little tool you can get to hold the chainring bolts, or sometimes the back of chainring bolts can be an Allen key head as well. Or if you put a little bit of angle on your Allen key, you can sometimes get grip that way, and it does them up. Beautiful. Just put that pedal on, and then crank install is done. make sure when you do your pedals up, make sure the pedal washers are centered. They usually are, but it doesn't hurt to check, especially on a new set of cranks. You don't want to be scuffing a new set of cranks up straight away before riding them. Beautiful. Spin test. They spin amazing. We'll just throw the chain on and then Shawnee can go riding. Beautiful. Throw our chain on. Shawnee runs chain tensioners, so we'll get that chain tensioner sitting in there. Do these beautiful profile bolts up. Make sure it's not tight, because we've got to do up that chain tensioner. Make sure this other one's going to go in as well. Do these bad boys back up. Make sure the wheel is straight as well. Do his brakes back up. Chain tension. Give it a little bit more. Shawnee's got heaps of power. Beautiful. We'll just do these up. You want these to be firm. You don't want to swing off them as well. They've got chain tensioners, they're not going to go anywhere. Just give it enough. Just double check. Happy. Spins. We're good to go.